Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of our podcast show this morning. We have a very special guest, someone you may know. Maybe you've heard of this guy, and if you haven't, you should, because he is one really impressive guy. And I'm excited to have him here today in our studio. We have in our house, right here in the studio, Mr. Reymund Roxas. So, Ray, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good morning, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
I know you're super busy and you've got a lot going on, and I appreciate you taking time to come in today.
Of course.
So tell us, I know you and I know your background, but I just would love to have the audience, know who you are and you're a little bit about your background. So why don't we start with you and your background?
Filipino.
Yeah.
My parents, we have a Filipino restaurant that's been around in Carson. It's been around for about almost 40 years.
Wow.
I grew up in business my whole life.
Okay.
So I just never saw myself ever having a boss. And yeah, I actually was born here and I moved to the Philippines when I was 4.
Okay.
And I actually came back when I was 9. And from then on, I was working at the restaurant the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's that like being young while your kids are, like most kids are out, 8, 9 years old, they're riding their bikes, they're riding their skateboards, they're hanging out with your friends, and seems like you grew up in the restaurant helping your parents out at that age. So what's that like? Did you ever have a childhood, growing up?
It gave me the work ethic that I have now. I think before I was thinking about, it kind of sucked, like not being able to go out a lot on the weekends because I'm always working out. I'm always working at the restaurant. Have to be there at 7 a.m., there till like 4 or 5 p.m. And it was like child labor that my parents gave. And yeah, it gave me the work ethic in terms of being able to do things that most people won't do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I feel like, don't have the discipline.
Sure.
And I got the discipline. It was forceful discipline. That's because of that, I can work 12, 16-hour days and not be fazed by it.
Now, did you ever ride bikes and go on skateboards and hang out with your friends when you were young?
Yeah, I did at times, but
Yeah.
not as much as a lot of my friends that I know. So, like a lot of people had like a normal childhood. Like I always worked every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, every New Year's.
Because you're in the restaurant business, everybody's
yeah.
catering from you probably,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Like 8 years ago, my brother and I were so tired working during the New Year's that we slept through the New Year's. That we were so tired, he knocked on our rooms were right next to each other.
Yeah.
He knocked on the wall, or I would knock on the wall. It was like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, Happy New Year. And I woke up that year, I was like, man, this is horrible. And I was looking at my parents' life and I just didn't want it anymore. Yeah, like I saw it, like my dad, he passed away a couple years ago, but he was 76, and my mom's 76 a couple of days ago. And I just look at it, like I realize if I want to be them, like this is my life for the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, I don't want this. And I was like, I need to find something else that will get me a much better life.
So what did you do? So from there, did you go to college, you go to school?
Yeah, I went to school, but it was more of just getting away from the restaurant, really. And I went to school, studied finance a little bit, but I didn't think that I was actually going to pursue it. I have my own business now in financial industry, and yeah, I met my mentors and I saw their lifestyle. I really do believe if you want to do something, like I didn't know, you can't be what you can't see. And until I saw my mentors, seeing their lifestyle, seeing where they're at 25 years from now.
Yeah.
And it sold me the dream. And yeah, being my business now, going on my 8th year, everything that I prayed for and dreamed of 7, 8 years ago is happening now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you think everyone can become an entrepreneur? Like, do you think it's only for a certain segment of people and other people should be doing something else? Or do you think that everyone could become an entrepreneur?
I think everyone could be, but I don't know if everyone's meant to be. I think that there are people that could win more, and there's some people that could win a little bit. I think everyone can win. It's just a matter of how much you want to win.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of people that are meant to have a 9-to-5 job.
Okay.
Like my sister, she is a registered nurse, and she loves to serve people in that way. And that's her passion.
Sure.
So as long as she's fulfilling her passion, it's good. but I don't think everyone is. I don't know if everyone's meant to have a business, but I think everyone's meant to find their passion and make sure it's fulfilling for them.
So now, people who do have a business, they don't all make it. Some fail. What are 3 reasons you think, the top 3 reasons that causes people to fail in business?
One is, I think they focus on where they're at now rather than where they're going. 7, 8 years ago, once I committed to the business I'm in now, because I grew up in business, I think that's one blessing that my parents taught me, that you just got to keep grinding out, and don't focus on where you're at now, focus on where you're going. I think that's the biggest thing, because people quit when they're on their lowest, and you shouldn't make a decision when you're down. Make a decision when you're up. Another thing is, I just don't think people work hard enough. I think they're kind of imagining that they're doing the job, but they're really not. I think because it's hard for people to go from a 9 to 5 to a full-time job or to a full-time business, that they think that just because they're physically there doesn't mean that they're going to get the results. Like a lot of people have like at the restaurant, you could clock in, clock out, but when it comes to entrepreneurship, you give all your hours. Like you work every single day. Like the last week, it's like I've been working 18-hour days, but I love what I do though. Like it doesn't feel like work to me. Like I live in Irvine, drove all the way to Santa Clarita at 8:30 in the morning on this past Sunday, and it was daylight savings time.
So it was like 7:30 your time.
7:30 our time, and I had to wake up at 5. When the night before, I didn't get back home till 11 o'clock at night. And so I remember seeing that person at Starbucks, like, man, you look fully suited. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're crazy. And I was like, I love what I do, though.
Yeah.
And if you love it, like, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And why people quit is, I just don't think they find enough reason of why they should stay. And they focus on the negative instead. For me, no matter what, everyone's gonna come across some kind of adversity. And for me, what I've learned to do is to be grateful and to write down all the great things that could come about it, rather than focus on all the negatives. So there's a lot of times, a couple of months ago, I went to this event that I really want to go to, but I wrote down all the things that could happen, and everything did happen, and times it by 10, because I focus on. But it's crazy though, because that little decision that people don't know, that little decision makes such a big difference. You're that close from winning and losing, and the compound of like doing it every single day for 7, 8 years is I think people just lose it within. They quit too soon. They're literally 3 feet from gold.
So in business, what is winning in business? Like in a ball game, you score. If you got more points than the other guy, you win. But in business, what is winning?
For me, it's just being a better version of yourself than you were the day before. And it's awesome to, personally for me, it's not just getting a win in terms of, let's say, making a sale, getting a client. For me, winning is when you actually hit the adversity and you're in that low and you overcame it. Personally, for me, that's like winning, because it's easy to win when you're winning, but it's harder to win when you're down. And for you to focus on what's good, focus on the positive, like that's winning to me. And winning for your family, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, you're in sales. I'm assuming you do sales, right, in your business. So in your business, in doing sales, when someone says, I'm not a good salesperson, or how do I become a better salesperson, what would be 5 tips that you could give them to be a better salesperson?
Listen, smile, say people's names.
So when you say listen to the client more?
Listen to the client.
Okay.
Even if they're not becoming a client, just like you meet someone on the street, just talk to them, say hi, how's your day going? And actually care. Not just, hey, how's your day going, and waiting to respond and not actually listening to people. I don't think a lot of people listen to people.
People don't internalize
Exactly.
really what they're saying.
Exactly. Listen, smile, say people's names. I think the biggest thing is someone's name. The most important thing to someone is saying their name. Like there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Great book.
Great book. And I didn't realize growing up in the restaurant that I was doing a lot of things that the book already tells you to do. Smiling, never getting in an argument with someone. If someone loses, you both lose. Another one is like literally just not getting, like focusing on just trying to help them pretty much. A lot of like in the restaurant business, the customer is always right. And because of that, I never argue with my clients what I do now because.
What do you mean by that? Like the client in the restaurant business, like the client is always right. What do you mean by that?
Well, in the restaurant, like when customer would, even though they're wrong, I don't tell them that they're wrong. I would just kill them with kindness. I don't think that fighting fire with fire is gonna work. And for me, like I've been doing it since I was a kid. And thank God to my parents and my mom, like my parents, and seeing how they do it. And because of that, I was able to just get all the skill set that I got from the restaurant and do it to my business now. Yeah.
And what are some of those skill sets that you learned in the restaurant business?
Just caring about people, talking to them, just be a genuine person, smile, say their name, just building that relationship with people. And a lot of people don't do that. They focus mostly on themselves rather than the person. But if you really listen and figure out what the customer wants, you'll get to where you want to be just by helping them.
Now, you just recently had a newborn. You have a baby now in your family,
Yes.
right? And so now how old is your child?
17 months.
17 months. Just now running all over the place. So how did you learn how to balance your time? Like, you know, from your business, I mean, you're a workhorse, right? You're like a thoroughbred Mustang, nonstop. I can tell you're up at 5 in the morning and you had 3 hours of sleep the night before. So how do you balance that with your personal life and spending time with your child?
I heard from someone that you can't have everything that you want in life. I mean, you can have everything you want in life, just not all at the same time. And so you just got to prioritize what's most important at the moment. And I focus on business because I look at what my business is going to be able to serve my family even more. And then I have an awesome wife, so she's taking care of my son 24/7, and that gives me the peace of mind. But to balance it, it's just you gotta. To me, it's like a feeling, it's an instinct, and also it's making sure you have communication with your wife, with my wife, because like I know when I can just keep going at it, and I know when I need to take care of her. I need to take care of my son, because if I don't take care of her, it's gonna roll over to her not taking care of my son.
Yeah.
My wife, her love language is quality time. And last year, our business, thank God, we worked a month less, but our income increased by 40%.
That's great.
But I put in the work 6 years ago, 6-7 years ago. People think, oh, you're lucky, but it wasn't lucky. I put in the work so I can do that. But the reason I was saying that is because her quality time, that was my focus a lot last year, while still winning in business.
Sure.
This year is like our goal is to at least quadruple what we did last year. And she's like focused on, look, we have these goals, but because I gave her that time and that love, now I can go all out in this year. Like she doesn't even want to see me this year because I'm so focused, and she understands what the bigger picture is. Because we've had this lifestyle. We were able to go to the Philippines for 2 weeks, go to London, England for 10 days, go to Hawaii for Thanksgiving, which I've never done before. And that was all last year, and we're like, this year we have to give it back and make sure it's not just us, and we're bringing other people with us.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, your wife is in your business. By the way, we had your wife on our show once before. She was phenomenal. It was great having her. Now, Claricel, if you have not seen that episode, go through our list of shows and you'll see Claricel Rojas, who also did a fantastic job on our show. And you and your wife now work together in the same business, in the same industry. So do you guys ever butt heads? I mean, how do you know what you're supposed to do and how does she know? I mean, do you guys ever have differences in business?
In business?
Yeah, different styles. I mean, different.
We have different styles.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She can connect with everyone pretty much. And we just know our roles and what we're good at. And I typically meet with the clients the first time, and then I know when to bring her in. I know when to bring in, like I don't bring in a knife to a gunfight, and I know when to bring her in because she's amazing at what she does. But in regards to how our roles are, it's changed a lot because of our son. Like she's very ambitious in the business, but when our son came, she's more ambitious in taking care of him, which I love because it gives me more drive to even work even harder. But we figure out in terms of the business, like she's really the organized person, and I'm like the more outgoing one. And so I go out there and talk to anyone and everyone, but she's like so sweet, she's so loving that we know when to connect certain people with her, and I know the people that I connect better with. And we're two different personalities that we know when to be able to utilize each other. And she's really good at it in terms of, and she's just being herself though. She's not trying to sell anyone or anything. It's just her, she has better connection with certain people. And I let her know, hey, I need you for this one. I think you can help this family a lot better because just your stories are aligned with each other. It just depends.
So your business, do you mainly work with families only? Is that your core business?
We help a lot of families, that's for sure. But we help a lot of businesses. It just depends. A lot of people stress out about money. And like I see a lot of people, they go to personal seminars like a Tony Robbins or something similar to that. But then a week later, they're stressed out about how to pay off the bills. And for me, my goal is just to not have people stressed out about money anymore. And the thing is, though, it's just a matter of just giving them more clarity.
Sure.
A lot of people just have no hope in terms of where they're going for their finances. Like our restaurant's been around for 40 years, but sad to say, like my mom she's 76, wakes up 7 days a week and working 12, 13-hour days. Come to my restaurant and you'll see her there. And a lot of times she's like so tired. And it's not because she wants to, it's because sometimes she has to. Like my parents and I think a lot of people when it comes to savings and just money, they always think they have time, that they're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s, they're in their 60s, and before you know it, they're in their 70s, like what could I have done better? And that's why I feel fulfilled with what I do now, because it's just giving people hope.
Sure.
I had my own restaurant for 3 years, and we had good food, but I didn't feel great making someone diabetic. So that's why doing what we do now, it's like it's fulfilling for me.
Tell me 3 books you would recommend for an entrepreneur to read before they get started, or if they're already entrepreneurs. What are top 3 books you would recommend for
Well, your book, of course, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich, obviously. Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Yeah.
It's about just compounding of your choices.
Sure.
Relentless, that's a good one as well. And the last one would be 21 Irrefutable Laws by John Maxwell.
Okay, great. Yeah. Those are great books. All really good books. Real good books. So what's your goal now for the next 5 years? I mean, where do you see the Rojas dynasty going here over the next 5 years? 5
years from now, our goal is to at least in our business have at least 30 different offices in the next 5 years.
Sure.
That's another 20 offices in the next, like 4 offices a year pretty much. And our goal is just to help people be financially free, giving them hope and just clarity, because a lot of people just don't have it.
Sure.
But in order for us to do that, we got to create a bigger mastermind, a bigger business of finding the right people.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time to find the right people, but now my biggest goal right now is hiring character and training skill.
Sure.
And just finding the right character people to have the same goals that we have.
All right. Well, thank you, Ray, for coming in today. We really, really enjoyed all the nuggets you shared with us. And for those of you that have an interest of becoming an entrepreneur, I certainly want to encourage you to read my book, How Rich Asians Think. I think it is an awesome book to help entrepreneurs start thinking a little bit differently. And of course, make sure you subscribe to our podcast show down below. And we got some information about Ray Roxas, so if you want to follow him and reach out to Ray Roxas, please click the link below and you'll get right to him. And I wish you guys all the best. It ain't easy, but it's worth it. We'll see you on our next episode of this incredible Think and Grow Rich Legacy podcast. Thanks for joining us.